Hi, Jacob Cyrus here again, and I'm coming to you talking about the blazing furnace. And this is a story about faith. The faith that these three had are amazing because their faith saved them. And as long as you got faith in your Lord will save you too. And now I want to read to you from Daniel 3:19. And it's the blazing furnace. It goes, Nebuchadnezzar was so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he ordered some of the strongest men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up and threw them into the furnace, fully dressed in their pants, turbans, robes, and other garments. And because the king in his anger had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers as they threw the 3 men in. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, securely tied, fell into the roaring flames. But suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace?" "Yes, your majesty, we certainly did," they replied. "Look," Nebuchadnezzar shouted, "I see 4 men unbound walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a god." Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officers, officials, governors, and advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their heads was singed, and their clothing was not scorched. They didn't even smell of smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make this decree: if any people, whatever their race or nation or language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they will be torn limb from limb, and their houses will be turned into heaps of rubble. There is no other God who can rescue like this." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in the province of Babylon. Now, I want to go back just a little farther. And I want to start at the beginning of chapter 3, because their faith was so strong that they knew that their Lord was going to save them. And if their Lord didn't save them getting thrown into the furnace, then they knew that they were going to take the Lord to their death and be saved either way. So to live as Christ, to die as gain. And that's the way they looked at it, because Christ wasn't around in this time. But they had so much faith in their Lord that their Lord saved them because of their faith, which is what's happened to me over the summer. I put so much faith in my Lord that he literally has saved me from death on more times than I can count on my hands and my feet. Oh, just over the summer, starting with Memorial Day weekend. Okay, so chapter 3 starts like this. King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then he sent messages to the high officers, officials, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the provincial officials to come to the dedication of the statue he had set up. So these officials came and stood before the statue King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald shouted out, "People of all races and nations and languages, listen to the king's command. When you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, pipes, and other musical instruments, bow to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. Anyone who refuses to obey will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." So at that sound of the musical instruments, all the people, wherever their race or nation or language, bowed to the ground and worshipped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed on the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "Long live the king! You issued a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they hear the sound of the horns, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments. That decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They put no attention to you. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your gods and do not worship the gold statue you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage and ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him. When they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold statue I have set up? I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I have made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace, and then what God will be able to rescue you from my power." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into a blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." So they put so much faith in our God, the only God, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, that when they put that faith in him, that their faith saved them. And it's amazing because, like I said, I went I faced fear over this summer, probably, I can't count how many times. My life was going to get taken, and my God saved me, steered me in the right direction, told me what was about to happen with my foresight and stuff like that, my gifts from God. And with that being said, my faith is what saved me. My faith is the reason why I'm here putting these videos out so the world can hear this. So I hope somebody got a good message from this, and I'm just trying to do what the Lord is trying to get everybody in the past to do. Trust in him, have faith in him, and put all your mind, heart, and soul into him, and he will give you strength, because you got to put your strength into him, and he will give you 2-3 times the strength that you ever had before. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope this message reaches the right people, and keep your faith, because your faith will save you.